Hey, what's up everybody, this is Rick1, and today I want to go over another build in Division 2, but I want to do something a little bit different and go over the same builds with the same pieces of gear that I did videos on before Title Update 3 and go back over them and see what has changed, see how the damage differs in the shooting range and stuff like that. Now at the beginning of the video I'm going to show some shooting range damage, and this one I would say is probably on average like 350 to 400k average DPS down from the version of this build before Title Update 3. And the main reason for that is hard hitting got a 5% damage reduction, and I have 5 of those, so that's 25% damage reduction just in that, which is pretty much where most of the damage went. The damage can definitely change a little bit depending on what targets you get, how good your accuracy is in that run and everything, so it's not going to be exact, but it's still quite a bit lower damage. Now, what I'll say before I get into the rest of the video, or the rest of this build, is that this build can be much better. Pretty much doing the same talents and everything like that, this build could be much better than it was pre-Title Update 3 because we're not using any, damage increasing talents like, I don't know, Berserker on the chest piece or any stuff like that. Even with the damage reduction on the elite stuff, I still think you could get overall more damage if you had better pieces with better rolls. So for the weapon, we're going to be using the P416. It's going to be, these are actually all the exact same pieces. I haven't been playing a ton of Division yet since Title Update 3, so I still have pretty much all the exact gear for a lot of my builds that I was doing before the patch, so I can go back and test this much more easily and much more accurately. So the weapon is still the same, P416. Ranger has not changed, so that's probably the best weapon talent right now, especially for ARs. It's still super good, hasn't changed. Allegro has not changed, so you're still going to want that. The third one really does not matter that much. And for the attachments, still exactly the same because none of these really change either. 5% damage to elite scope, and you want the 3x4, so you get the headshot damage on the sharp, or not from sharpshooter, from the Nemesis holster talent, so you still want that scope to be able to get that. The 10 plus rounds increase for the magazine, 5% critical chance right there, and then 5% damage to elites on the barrel. And the secondary is going to be the Nemesis again, which this is also another way the build is better. If you ever want to use Nemesis, it's much easier to upgrade the exotics, and they got much stronger. The Nemesis didn't get a damage increase, just a base damage increase like the other exotics did, but all the exotics, as I went over in one of my latest videos, is that they all did get attachments. So if you want to use this weapon more, you definitely can, and it'll be stronger, so that's always good. Also, something I will mention is I got around 20,000 armor increase just because of how the defensive roles have been massively buffed. And that's without even any of the new defensive roles. Like, you can get percentage health increases, percentage armor increases on your armor pieces, which can massively increase it. But I pretty much just have some base armor rolls on a couple pieces. I think it's just those two. Yeah, just my backpack and my chest piece, I have base armor rolls on them. So I got almost 20,000 armor from 2 pieces just because of how much defensive increase you get, so that's pretty good. Makes the build quite a bit tankier. So my helm, I have the Wyvern wear. None of this has changed on the helm except the hard hitting. I guess that'd be better to just go over what's changed and not the same things, but pretty much the only thing that's changed is hard hitting, 5% damage reduction on that. Nothing has changed on this back piece either, since I'm not using any other stuff. Another talent that I could actually use would be better. What would actually be better is only having one talent like hard hitting or something like that. I think hard hitting is still pretty good, and just having as many small rolls on this as you can to be able to use the new recalibration system. So hard hitting, the only thing changed on that. Hard hitting did change on this. Now, what also changed on armor? Also on the back piece, armor was massively increased as well. Like I already went over, the chest piece, armor massively increased. Nothing else changed. The hard hitting was changed on this, like everything else, 5% damage reduction. Unstoppable force has changed. I could actually change this build somewhat decently, or somewhat easily, and actually get Unstoppable Force to be useful, but it was nerfed massively because it used to be 2% weapon damage for every 10,000 armor. Now it's every 25,000 armor. I think that's still a nerf overall, even with the extra armor, unless you get some new percent armor rolls. This is still going to be a bit of a nerf if you want to use this, unless you get some crazy, percent armor rolls. Then it might be even or maybe slightly buffed. Now the change for the gloves was decent change because we have Clutch for some healing. Now, Clutch used to be 15% health and 2% armor on crits. Now it's 20% health and 1% armor. With the increased defensive stats, this would be a nerf for how my build is because I don't have any health increasers. But if you add, some high rolled health, because health rolls on armor is much higher, if you add that and maybe some percentage health, you could easily, get double this health pretty easily, and then Clutch would probably be much better. It'd actually be pretty strong. If you could do a really good health build now, Clutch would be pretty crazy on high crit builds. My waist or holster, I always call it waist from MMOs and stuff like that, but hard hitting, only thing that changed, 5% damage reduction again, and then my knee pads, only thing changes, hard hitting again. So there hasn't been a ton of changes to this build, except hard hitting, which is a pretty big change. But as I said at the beginning of the video, if you get good rolls, if you use a recalibration system to your advantage now, if you use some of the higher defensive rolls to your advantage, you could easily get to this build with the same talents on it, just with the better rolls from the recalibration station and stuff like that. You could easily make this build much better, much tankier, do much better damage, even with the 25% damage reduction that I get with hard hitting. I'm also using sharpshooter. The rest of the build has stayed the exact same. I'm using sharpshooter for my specialization tree for the headshot damage, the stability, and the reload speed. But yeah, the build's entirely the same. If you want to check out that other video, I'll put a link in the description to see what's changed. I mean, I did go over it, but to see if there's anything else that, are subtle change or anything like that. But that's pretty much the end of the video. Some changes, but this build could be much better since it's mainly based on just armor stats and healing with Clutch that didn't change too much. But subscribe if you want to see me do more Division 2 videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you think about Division 2, what you think about all the title update 3 changes, what you think about this build. I do want to do versions of this for all of my other builds just to see what has changed. Maybe if you haven't played, which I don't think a lot of people that left before title update 3 have come back. I think there's still a good chunk of people that haven't really come back. But this could definitely help looking over some of the changes on actual builds. So thanks for watching.
Done for.
Incoming hostiles detected.
My sights.